The twin suns were setting over the alien city of Nixor, turning the tall silver towers orange and red. The air smelled like sweet metal and dry leaves. Jace, a human explorer, walked slowly through the quiet market street. He had never been here before. The people here had never seen anyone like him. His boots crunched on the crystal tiles. He looked around carefully. Alien vendors stood behind floating stalls selling glowing fruits and small robots. Strange music played softly in the air, like wind whispering to itself. Jace wasn't here to shop. He just needed directions. To find a port and leave this place. He adjusted the collar of his old coat. His face was tired. His eyes held stories no one here knew. Then he saw her. She stood near a fountain, her skin soft blue like the ocean before a storm. Long white hair fell over her shoulders. She held a small bag of glowing seeds in one hand and looked lost in thought. She looked kind, like someone who might help. Jace took a deep breath and walked toward her. "Excuse me," he said in a low, calm voice. "Can you tell me how to get to the—" She looked up. Their eyes met. Her hand froze. Her breath caught, then she screamed, "A human!" she shouted, her voice sharp with fear. "A human!" The bag of seeds hit the ground. Glowing seeds rolled across the tiles like fireflies. She turned and ran, pushing through the crowd, still screaming the same words again and again. "A human! A human!" Everyone stopped. The whole street went silent. A mother pulled her child behind her. A tall, alien male dropped a fruit in shock. Whispers started to move like a wave. Jace stood still, stunned. He didn't move. He didn't understand. A group of armored guards appeared out of nowhere. They looked at him, eyes wide, then pulled out glowing weapons. Their leader shouted something, in a language Jace didn't know. His instincts kicked in. Run. Jace turned and ran into the narrow side streets of Nixor. Behind him, heavy boots followed. He didn't look back. He leaped over crates and dodged floating carts. The city became a blur of glowing signs and metal walls. Why were they chasing him? He had done nothing. He only asked a question. He ducked into a broken alley and slid behind an old generator. His heart was pounding. He held his breath as footsteps ran past. The guards didn't see him. He waited, quiet. His hands were shaking. Back in the market, the alien girl, Jera, was crying. Her friends asked her what happened. She said, "He looked at me, with human eyes." They thought she had lost her mind. "Humans are myths," one of them said. "Stories from before our time." But Jera knew what she saw. "My grandmother told me the stories," she said. "If you ever see a human, run. They are dangerous, they are cursed." But deep inside her, something else stirred. The human didn't hurt her. He looked lonely and kind. Why? In the alley, Jace checked his small scanner. Static. No signal. This planet was too far from the nearest hub. He was alone. He looked at his own reflection in a puddle. Tired face. Human face. Why did she scream? He whispered to himself. Above him, a strange symbol was carved into the wall. An old mark. It looked human. He reached out and touched it. Suddenly, the wall shimmered, and a hidden door opened. A cold wind touched his face. He stepped inside, not knowing that his simple question had just changed the galaxy. The city had changed. Where moments ago it was calm, full of colors and music. Now it pulsed with fear. Jace ran. Behind him, heavy boots echoed on the tiles. Alien guards shouted commands. Strange weapons hummed like angry bees. He didn't know their words, but he knew danger when he heard it. He turned into a dark corridor between tall metal buildings. The walls were close. Steam hissed from pipes. The air felt heavy, like it knew something terrible was coming. He ducked into a side tunnel and stopped to catch his breath. Lights flickered above. His chest rose and fell fast. What just happened? He had asked a simple question, and now he was a criminal. He checked his small scanner again. Still no signal. Still no way to contact his ship. No way out. Stay calm, he whispered to himself. Just stay alive. Suddenly, a noise. He turned. A child, a small alien boy, stood at the edge of the tunnel staring at him, large golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. You're real, the boy said softly. A real human. Jace raised a finger to his lips. Shh. Please don't tell them. The boy hesitated. Then he nodded slowly and turned away. Disappearing into the dark, Jace moved on. Deeper. Far from the market now, he found himself in the city's underbelly. Here machines hummed. Walls were covered in vines and old markings. This part of the city was forgotten, even the lights were dim. He stopped under a broken arch. Something was carved there. A symbol. Familiar. Ancient. Human. He touched it again. His skin tingled. The same strange pull from the ruins earlier. But stronger, suddenly, a voice echoed behind him. Don't move. He turned slowly. An alien woman stood there, holding a light blade. Her clothes were worn, and her face was marked with scars. But her eyes were curious, not hateful. Why are you here, human? She asked. Jace raised his hands. I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just needed help. The woman narrowed her eyes. No one comes to Nixor by mistake. I didn't know you feared us this much, Jace said. She screamed like I was a monster. The woman stepped closer. Because you are. To them. To their stories. Jace frowned. Stories? She lowered her weapon slightly. They were told that humans were destroyers, that your kind vanished after starting wars that burned half the stars. He looked away. Those stories are wrong. Maybe, she said. Or maybe not. He stared at her. Then why haven't you attacked me? The woman paused. Because I remember the real stories, the ones hidden beneath the lies. Before he could ask more, loud footsteps echoed again. Closer. The guards were here. Go, she said quickly. This way. Jace followed her down a spiral path into an old maintenance shaft. They moved in silence. The walls were rusted. Water dripped from above. At the end, a metal door opened into a forgotten chamber. Lights flickered on. Soft. Warm. Strange orbs floated above, showing holograms of human figures in silver armor, standing beside alien warriors. What is this place? Jace whispered. Truth, she said. Before the war, humans protected this planet, but when the Council rose to power, they erased you from memory. They needed a villain to blame, and your kind was perfect. Jace touched one of the glowing orbs. A human voice spoke in an old language. Something about peace. Unity. His throat tightened. They feared what they couldn't control, she said. So they taught their children to scream when they saw you. Jace looked at her. And you? I didn't forget, she said. My name is Alice. I was part of the Memory Guild. I know what they hide. He stepped back. Why are you helping me? Alice looked him in the eyes. Because your return means everything is about to change. Suddenly, a loud blast shook the chamber. They found him. Alice grabbed his arm. Come, there's one last door. Together, they ran. Towards the only place left untouched by lies. Towards the buried heart of truth. The scream still echoed in her ears. Even though hours had passed, Jera couldn't stop shaking. She sat in her room, hugging her knees, the blanket pulled up to her chin. Her window looked out at the silver towers of Nixor. Lights blinked in, the distance like distant stars. But inside her heart was only fear. Her mother had knocked twice, asking if she was okay. Jera didn't answer. She kept hearing his voice. Excuse me. It was calm, kind, soft. Yet her legs had frozen. Her heart had exploded, and she ran like a child chased by shadows. Why? Why had she screamed? She had seen monsters in books, read tales of dark creatures from the abyss. But that human, he was not what she expected. He looked tired, he looked lonely. But the stories in her mind had screamed louder than his voice. Her grandmother's voice rose from her memories, sharp, strong. If you ever see a human, run. Do not speak. Do not think. Run. They curse your soul with just one word. Jera had been 5 cycles old when she first heard that. A fire had burned in the village nearby. Strange shapes had flown in the sky. The adults whispered, "A human. Ghost did this." And her grandmother made her promise. If you ever hear a human tongue, cover your ears. If you ever meet their eyes, you will forget who you are. And Jera believed it. For years. She believed it. Until today. But now, something inside her was shaking the old stories. Something didn't feel right anymore. He didn't hurt me. She walked slowly to her old wooden box. Inside were carved stones her grandmother once gave her. Each one told a tale. She picked up the red stone, the one with the ancient symbol, a human face crossed with lightning. She had asked once, "Did you ever see one, grandmother?" Her grandmother had gone silent. Then she whispered, "Only once. And it cost me everything." Jera never asked again. But now, she had seen one too. And instead of being cursed, she was only confused. In another part of the city, the council was already meeting. They called it a level black threat. Surveillance had captured the incident, the scream, the human face, the escape. They sent bounty hunters, closed the gates, shut down communication ports. "If he leaves, our lies fall apart," one council member said. Jera, unaware of the council's panic, opened her secret drawer. Inside was a scroll, a forbidden scroll. Her grandmother had hidden it. Jera had kept it, never daring to read it until now. She unrolled it slowly. The language was old, cracked. But her eyes moved with instinct. Humans were not demons. They were guardians. They bled for our skies. They burned for our peace. But when fear won, we erased them. Jera gasped. The scroll trembled in her hands. "We lied." She stood, heart pounding. No one would believe her. But she had to know more. She had to find him again. At the edge of the city, deep below the tower lines, someone was listening. Girl named Mara from the Shadows Guild watched Jera through her memory lens. The scroll she read, the expression on her face, the cracks forming in her belief. Mara smiled coldly. Another mind-breaking. She sent a silent alert to the council. But too late. Jera had already made her decision. She left her home just before dawn. The streets were still, sky-dim purple. Her cloak hid her face. Her footsteps were fast. She didn't know where the human was hiding, but she knew where the old temple was. The place of the forbidden. She would start there, not because she trusted him, but because, for the first time, she didn't trust the fear. Deep inside the ruins of the old temple, the silence felt heavy. Jace stood in the middle of a circular chamber. Dim blue lights glowed from strange stone pillars like stars buried under the earth. Walls around him were filled with carvings, images of warriors, stars, and hands reaching out from fire. He had followed the hidden symbols here. Each one felt familiar, like echoes in his blood. He stepped closer to the central platform. It looked like a broken altar. On it, a small orb rested, half buried in dust. He touched it. The room trembled. Stone gears turned, ancient air moved, and, above him, a projection lit the air, glowing blue and gold, showing a giant human figure, standing beside alien leaders. Jace stepped back. "What is this?" A voice echoed from the orb, soft and cracked. "We gave our lives so they could live, but fear rewrites everything." Suddenly, footsteps behind him. Jace spun around. It was her, The alien girl. Jera. She stood still, eyes wide, her cloak soaked from early morning mist. Her chest rose and fell. She had run to get here. You again? She whispered. Jace raised his hands. I'm not here to hurt anyone. Jera stepped forward slowly. I know. Her voice was shaking. I read the scroll. He blinked. You what? The forbidden one. My grandmother hid it. It said humans weren't destroyers. They were protectors. Jace looked at the carvings. These walls say the same thing. She looked around, her eyes moving across every detail. Then she whispered, Why would they lie to us? Jace walked to a side panel. A human symbol was carved into it, shaped like a sun inside a spiral. He pressed it. A section of the floor opened, revealing a deep metal core glowing softly. The orb on the altar floated up. It scanned Jace and glowed brighter. The same orb turned toward Jera. But when it scanned her, it stopped. Non-human detected, it said. Truth seeker present. A beam of light shone between them, creating an old video. Holographic memory begins. Group of humans in silver armor are shown fighting beside alien warriors, not against them, with them, together, side by side. Burning skies, falling ships, screams, victory. A human voice says, We won't stay. We are not rulers. This galaxy must heal. Forget us, but do not fear us. The video ends. Jera stared at Jace. Your people gave up everything. Jace nodded slowly. And now they fear us. Jera sat on the temple step, her hands shaking. My grandmother said she saw one and lost everything. Maybe she didn't mean pain. Maybe she meant the truth. Jace looked at her carefully. What's your name? Jera. I'm Jace. They shook hands. For the first time, not as strangers, not as enemies, but as two beings searching for the same thing. Truth. Outside the ruins, far above them, the council's hunters scanned the city. They picked up the signal of the orb. The human is inside the tomb, said the leader. Do we go in? The reply came cold and fast. No. We seal it, bury them both. No one finds the past. Back inside, the orb pulsed red. Danger detected. External threat approaching. Jace's eyes widened. They're coming. Jera looked around. This place is sacred. They'll destroy it? Jace moved toward the orb. Not if we activate the defense systems. Jera pointed to another symbol carved on the wall. A mark from her people. We need both, human and alien. Jace placed his hand on the left side. Jera placed hers on the right. A final symbol lit up in the center. Unity. The ground shook, hidden. Pillars rose. Walls shifted. The room began to change, from forgotten tomb to awakened stronghold. And now, the galaxy's truth had a heartbeat again. The air inside the ancient stronghold had changed. Stone walls now glowed with living energy. Symbols danced in the air like fireflies, and the orb hovered at the center of the room, pulsing slowly. Outside, the sky was turning red, not from sunset but from incoming danger. Jera and Jace stood side by side staring at the projection above them. A message from the orb repeated softly. Threat detected. Council drones approaching. Time to containment, 15 minutes. Jera's hands were cold. They're coming to kill us, she whispered. Jace didn't answer. He just stared at the old carvings that now looked like glowing maps. He traced one with his finger and said, There's a tunnel, a back way out. Jera nodded. Let's go. We can't let them destroy this place. As they moved toward the hidden exit, the walls behind them began to shift again, slowly hiding the glowing symbols, like the temple itself didn't want to be seen again. Up above, in the sky beyond the towers of Nyxor, black triangular ships hovered silently. Inside one of them, Council General K.L. Vor stood with his arms crossed. His face was sharp, made of bone plates and thin scars. He stared at the temple's image on the screen. Seal it, he ordered coldly. No survivors. But General, what if the human escapes? Kael'vor's eyes narrowed. Then find him. And remind this world why they feared his kind. Meanwhile, Jace and Jera moved fast through the underground tunnel. It was narrow, filled with dust and echoes. Their footsteps bounced against the old stone. Jera finally broke the silence. Why? Did your kind leave? Jace looked ahead as he walked. We didn't want to rule. After the war, humans decided to vanish, to let others grow. And yet, the galaxy turned your story into a nightmare. He gave a sad smile. Fear is louder than truth. Jera stopped suddenly. She touched a stone wall beside her. Another symbol glowed under her fingers. This one was different. Not human, not alien, but both, together. A memory surged inside her chest. Her grandmother, holding her close, whispering softly. I trusted one, and lost my voice. Not from fear, but from love. Jera blinked. Her grandmother had loved a human. She felt tears rising but pushed them back. Jace, she said, voice trembling, I think my grandmother knew someone like you. Jace turned. What happened to her? She became silent. Forever, she said. She couldn't carry both truths, so she chose silence. Jace touched her shoulder gently. You don't have to choose silence. Suddenly, alarms blared. They had been found. Outside the exit of the tunnel, drones flew over the rocks, scanning for movement. Small spider-like bots crawled through cracks, glowing red. Soldiers dropped from ships. One drone turned. Target acquired. Inside the tunnel, Jace's wrist device buzzed. They're here. Jera clenched her fists. We run? No, Jace said calmly. We lead them away. Jera stared. What? The truth is still inside that temple. They want to destroy it. He took out a small round object from his coat, an old human decoy beacon. If we split, they'll follow me. You go the other way. Find someone who will listen. No, she said sharply. I'm not leaving you. Jera, I saw fear in your eyes when you ran, but I also saw something else. Her voice cracked. You're not a monster, Jace, and I won't let them treat you like one. They stared at each other. Then Jace smiled. Then let's give them a chase they'll never forget. They burst out of the tunnel, running toward the abandoned ridge. Drones swarmed in the sky, locking onto their heat signals. Lasers fired, missing by inches. Dust rose. Jera jumped behind a rock, gasping. There, too many. Jace threw the decoy beacon into the air. It glowed, mimicking his life signs, and flew the other way. Half the drones followed it. Now! Jace shouted. They ran again, toward the far cliffs. But the council wasn't done. One of the warships began to charge its energy weapon, aimed right at the temple ruins. Jera turned, screaming. They're going to destroy it. Jace grabbed her hand. Not if we get to the tower first. We need to show the truth to the world before they bury it again. They disappeared into the cliffs, wind howling around them. But now, something had changed. They weren't just running anymore, they were fighting back. Lightning cracked across the sky, not from weather, but from machines. Council warships floated above the cliffs like black sharks. Their lights scanned the rocks below. They were not searching anymore. They were preparing to destroy. Inside, a small cave hidden beneath a twisted ridge, Jace and Jera caught their breath. His coat was burned, her cheek was cut, but their eyes were sharp now, no longer filled with fear, but with fire. We can't keep running, Jace said quietly. Jera nodded. Then we do what they fear most. What's that? She stepped closer. We show them who you really are. They moved deeper into the cave, until they found a doorway made of stone and steel. Jera touched the wall. Symbols lit up under her hand, but nothing opened. Then Jay stepped forward. As soon as his fingers brushed the center symbol, the shape of a star wrapped in vines, the door hissed and opened. Inside was a chamber untouched by time. Floating in the center was a suit, ancient, silver, marked with human runes, but more than armor. It felt alive. "This is," Jace whispered. Jera read the inscription near the base. Her voice trembled. "Only the blood of the last will awaken the first." The orb from the temple floated silently into the room behind them. It had followed. "Identity confirmed," it said. Guardian protocol unlocked. The suit opened. Jay stared at it, frozen. "What if I'm not ready?" Jera touched his arm, gently. "You already returned. That means you're chosen." He stepped forward, and the suit wrapped around him like liquid light. His body lifted into the air. The cave rumbled. Symbols on the walls exploded with light. The orb rose higher and said, "Guardian unit reactivated after 307 years." Jera stepped back, eyes wide. Jace floated back down. But he was changed. His eyes glowed faintly. His heartbeat matched the pulse of the room. His voice was steady. "I remember now. Not everything, but enough." Jera asked, "What do you mean?" He looked at her. "This isn't just armor. It carries memories. The last Guardian passed it to me. Through time. Through blood." She whispered, "You are the last of them." Jace nodded. "And now I must finish what they started." Above them, the warship's main cannon charged. The general's voice echoed through all frequencies. "Human, surrender now, or your presence will end here." Jace stepped out of the cave, glowing, armored, different. "My presence," he said into his wrist, "isn't the threat. Your lies are." He raised his hand. A shield of blue energy shot into the sky, blocking the cannon's blast midair. The entire city saw it. Civilians stopped. Soldiers froze. For the first time in generations, they saw a human not as a story, but as a protector. Inside the council chamber, panic spread. He activated the Guardian system. "How?" the head speaker growled. "He must be silenced, before others remember." Meanwhile, Jera climbed to the tower's signal point, a forgotten comm beacon from the old world. She placed the orb into the core. The temple's memory, the truth, began to broadcast across the planet. People saw humans fighting beside aliens, dying for them, protecting their cities, leaving with peace, not war. Truth spread like fire, and nothing could stop it now. On the cliff, Jace stood tall. Drones circled him, weapons charged, but he didn't move. He held out his hand, and the ancient suit responded. Wings of pure energy formed behind him. He leaped into the air, slicing through drones like lightning. He wasn't just fighting back. He was reminding the stars what humanity once stood for. Jera watched from the tower, her eyes full of tears, not of fear, but of hope. The one they called a monster was saving them. The sky above Nixor was no longer silent. The truth had broken free. Giant holograms floated above cities, showing ancient memories, human heroes, and forgotten alliances. Children pointed at the sky, confused but curious. Elders cried quietly. Soldiers lowered their weapons, their hands shaking with the weight of betrayal. For centuries, they were told to fear the human face. Now they saw Jace, not as a curse, but as a guardian in light. Jera stood inside the old tower, eyes locked, on the broadcast screens. Her voice, steady but full of emotion, echoed through every speaker. "The human you feared risked everything to save you. The council hid the past, but you deserve to know it." She turned toward the signal crystal and placed her hand over it. "No more lies, no more fear. Today, the stars remember." In the sky, the council warships pulled back. They had orders to strike, but no more will. Inside the flagship, General Kaelvor crushed his command rod with his bare hand. "He's not a threat. one of his officers whispered. He's a symbol now, Kael'vor hissed. Symbols can be burned, but before he could give the order, a new signal cut through the frequencies. This is High Commander Alan of the Border Worlds. Cease all action. Effective immediately. We stand with the human. The voice came from an alien alliance, once silent, now awakened by truth. Others followed one by one. Systems began declaring support. Kael'vor's hand dropped. The war was over, not by weapons, but by remembrance. On the ground, Jace knelt beside the ruins of the temple. His armor flickered, not from weakness, but because the ancient power had completed its mission. He looked at the orb. What happens now? He asked softly. The orb spun and answered. The Guardian's task is complete. Memory restored. Choice returns to the living. He stood slowly. Jira arrived behind him, breathing fast from the tower climb. She stared at him. This human who was once just a question in her mind, now a legend in real time. They're talking about you everywhere, she said. And some still fear you. But most are listening. Jace looked out over the horizon and where towers, mountains, and stars all met. Then it's enough. Jera stepped closer. What will you do now? He turned to her, quiet for a moment, then said, I think it's time for someone else to write the next part. And what about you? He smiled. I was never meant to stay, but she grabbed his hand before he could walk away. You showed them the truth, Jace, but you showed me something else. He tilted his head. You reminded me that stories can change, she said. So let's write one together. His voice softened. You sure? Jera nodded. This galaxy has feared shadows for too long. Maybe it's time it learns how to live in the light. Weeks later, a new monument stood at the heart of Nixor. Not of a king, not of a warrior, but of two beings, a human and an alien girl, standing side by side, hands joined, with stars rising behind them. Children came every day to touch the base and whisper questions. Tourists left candles and drawings, and sometimes Jace would visit late at night. Hood pulled low and smile as he watched the next generation believe in something better. Far beyond Nixor, deep in the galaxy, an old vault opened in another forgotten world. The human signal had reached there too, and, deep inside, another suit awakened, another orb blinked. Guardian signal confirmed. Legacy continues. A legend was born, not because of power, but because one human asked a question and refused to run from the answer.